Welcome to Sam's Real TV Folktales. Esther was the kind of girl everyone liked. She had a bright smile and was always full of energy. She lived with her parents, helping them at their small shop in the market. But then she met a boy from the next village, a man named Ngoko. He was older, maybe 22 or 23, and he had this way about him, charming, always laughing. It didn't take long for Esther to fall for him. They started seeing each other in secret, mostly because her parents wouldn't have approved. Ngoko was known for being a bit of a troublemaker, not the kind of person a family would want their daughter with. But love, or what Esther thought was love, blinded her. It wasn't long before we started hearing whispers. Some of the older women in the village noticed that Esther was gaining weight, but it wasn't the kind that came from food. She was pregnant. At first, she tried to hide it, wearing bigger clothes and staying away from people. But in a small village like ours, secrets never stay hidden for long. When her parents found out, they were furious. Her father even threatened to throw her out of the house. But Esther begged them to wait, saying that Ngoko would come back for her. That he would marry her. But he didn't. Ngoko had disappeared. Some said he had gone to the city to find work. Others said he had another girl in a nearby village and had left Esther behind on purpose. Whatever the truth was, Esther was left alone, with a growing belly and a broken heart. People in the village started talking, as they do. They looked at her differently, whispering behind her back. The same people who used to greet her warmly now avoided her. She became a ghost in her own home, barely speaking, barely smiling. I would see her sitting outside her house, staring into the distance, as if she was waiting for someone who would never come. One evening, I was walking home from my aunt's place when I saw Esther. She was sitting under the big tree near the well, her face in her hands. She didn't notice me at first, so I hesitated, unsure if I should go to her. But then I heard her crying softly, and my heart sank. I walked up to her and sat down beside her. She didn't look at me, but I could feel the weight of her sadness. We sat in silence for a while before she finally spoke. "I don't know what to do, Felicia," she whispered, her voice shaky. "I thought he loved me. I thought he would come back. I didn't know what to say. I was just a kid, and I had no idea what it felt like to be in her shoes. All I could do was listen. Everyone thinks I'm cursed now," she continued. "That no man will want me. That I've ruined my life." I tried to tell her it wasn't true, that things would get better, but even I wasn't sure. The way people treated her, the way they judged her, it felt like the whole world had turned against her. A few weeks later, Esther gave birth to a baby boy. But instead of things getting better, they got worse. Her parents, ashamed of the whole situation, refused to help her with the baby. She had no one. The village women who used to dote on her now ignored her completely, and Ngoko was still nowhere to be found. She was all alone. One night, a storm hit the village. The rain came down in heavy sheets, the wind howling through the trees. I remember lying in bed, listening to the sound of it, feeling uneasy. Something didn't feel right. The next morning, the village woke up to shocking news: Esther was gone. Her house was empty, the baby's cradle left cold. No one knew where she had gone or what had happened to her. Some said she had run away, unable to take the shame any longer. Others whispered darker things, that she had gone into the forest, seeking the spirits that roam in the night, hoping they would take her away. But no one dared speak it aloud. For days, people searched the nearby forest and streams, but there was no sign of her. It was like she had vanished into thin air. But then, something even stranger started happening. At night, people began to hear crying coming from the well near the big tree. Some said it was the sound of a baby, wailing in the darkness. Others said it was Esther, calling out for her lost love. No one dared go near the well after dark, fearing they might hear her voice, or worse, see her standing by the water, holding her baby in her arms. And that's when the rumors began, the old ones, the stories passed down from our grandmothers. They said that abandoned souls, especially those who died with sadness in their hearts, never really leave. They stay, bound to the place of their greatest pain, waiting for someone to help them find peace. The crying near the well grew louder every night, and it wasn't just one or two people who heard it anymore. Soon, everyone in the village started talking about it in hushed voices. People were too afraid to go out after dark. Some even claimed to have seen a figure standing by the well, a woman holding something in her arms, gently rocking it back and forth. I didn't want to believe the stories. I didn't want to believe that Esther could be gone like that, left to wander as some restless spirit. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. No one had heard from her in weeks, and her disappearance was no longer just a mystery, it was something darker. One evening, my grandmother called me to her hut. She told me to sit down, and after a long pause, she began to speak. "Do you know why the spirits cry near the well, Kemi?" she asked, her voice low but steady. She sighed. "Not just that. Esther was abandoned, first by the man who promised to love her, then by the village who turned their backs on her. Her pain wasn't just in the betrayal, it was in the loneliness. The shame she felt was too much for her to bear, and now her spirit is lost, wandering in sorrow." The moral of Esther's story is simple: don't turn your back on those in need, especially when they are at their most vulnerable. It's easy to judge, but much harder to show kindness and understanding when the world expects you to condemn. We all make mistakes, and we all deserve the chance to be seen for more than our worst moments. Compassion, not judgment, is what keeps a community strong. Please like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.